Final Exam, an Avatar The Last Airbender fanfiction. Chapter 9.
Shiori decided that this pirate town had been constructed in a deliberately confusing way. Tall wooden buildings overshadowed the narrow alleyways they traversed, blocking all but the most indirect rays of the sun. None of the streets ran in straight lines, they all curved or turned tight, blind corners. In short order, Shiori, who navigated her ways through forests with ease, found herself completely turned around and lost. Zuko's confident stride never faltered, even though his frustration at their aimless wandering became more and more obvious. He rapped on one of the unpainted, shabby structures with a knuckle as they passed.
This whole place is a fire trap. Stupid pirates. I knew we should have done this my way.
Since the words were not addressed directly to her, Shiori let the comment go unanswered. Zuko's original plan, altered into this more passive mission by General Iroh, had involved threatening the inhabitants into relinquishing any and all information regarding the Avatar, using force if necessary to persuade cooperation. The Yuyan trainee eyed the buildings. They were wood, to be sure, an apparent open invitation for burning, which seemed odd given the cautious invasion-thwarting nature of the place. Then she shrugged her shoulders and dismissed her casual speculation. They walked past yet another bar. Evidently, pirates had few constructive hobbies. Zuko's feet slowed, but to Shiori's relief, did not stop. A few drunkards lie like discarded trash in the mud of the street. They stepped over one prone body and moved on. Shiori tried fruitlessly to orient herself, then shook her head.
Boy, am I lost. This seems horribly pointless.
She stared hard at the point between Zuko's shoulder blades.
I thought we were going back to the harbor. Please don't tell me you're lost too.
No response, of course, although Zuko's shoulders shifted as if he could feel the intensity of her gaze. Zuko's eyes scanned the surrounding buildings for some indication of their location. Palace born and raised, he found the convoluted nature of this place to be confounding his sense of direction.
Wait. Have we been down this way before?
Pausing at a four-way intersection, Zuko risked a glance back at his companion, alertly scanning their surroundings. Her brown eyes met his for the briefest of moments before he redirected his gaze. He was a prince and her temporary commander. He was not going to ask her if she knew where they were. Grateful that she couldn't question him without his permission, Zuko's ears perked up at the sound of a door creaking open down the street to his right. Without warning, he dashed down that street, closing the ranks quickly with a man who had emerged. Taking the pirate unawares, Zuko shoved him hard up against the wall of the building, allowing him only enough movement to turn and face him. The stink of alcohol oozed out of the man's pores and lay heavily on his breath as he regarded the teenage assailant. A couple of days' worth of stubble decorated the man's angular face. His green breeches sported patches on the knees, and the billowy tan shirt hung in loose folds, hiding the true size of the pirate's body. Still, there was a cognizance about the man that the other drunken sots they had passed lacked. Zuko tightened his grip on the pirate's clothes.
I'm looking for the Avatar. Where is he?
To his amazement, the pirate simply laughed, brushing the teen's hands off his clothes with a surprising amount of strength. Apparently done with the conversation, he pushed away from Zuko and resumed his walk down the street. A fire blast directed in front of his feet brought the man up short. He turned his head, eyeing the Fire Nation teen the way a parent will eye a child throwing a tantrum, as if judging how much punishment Zuko's behavior warranted. Zuko's chin tilted up in defiance.
I'm not done with you! Tell me where the marketplace in this infernal town is!
Offering a narrow profile to the teen, the pirate's large hand settled on the hilt of an oversized dagger, tucked into the top of the dark sash that wrapped around his waist. He sneered.
Please.
The softly uttered deadpan word startled the prince. He cautiously allowed his eyes to shift to the side. Standing there, as calm as could be, Shiori had an arrow drawn back to her cheek, the sharp metal point unwavering as she unblinkingly aimed it down the shaft. Had she actually spoken, or was it the sound of her bowstring being drawn taut that had attracted both men's attention? Zuko couldn't be sure, but whatever it was, it did the trick. The pirate froze in place for the briefest of moments before breaking out into a huge grin. His stiff body posture relaxed and his hand dropped down to his side. The man turned and sauntered off, whistling as he went. Zuko eased out of his bending stance, waiting until the pirate had turned a corner. Then he faced his borrowed archer, who had already returned her arrow to its home and was eagerly facing the indicated intersection.
Why did you do that? I didn't need your help.
Brown eyes cast downward, the girl ducked her head in what Zuko interpreted as an apology. The prince stared at her a moment, then snorted.
Whatever. Let's go.
I think he was a bender.
The feminine yet slightly raspy voice brought the older teen up short. He hadn't truly expected a response.
What?
You were watching his hands. His feet moved funny.
Shiori slid her own foot sideways in imitation.
Earthbender, probably.
Right. And what do you know about earthbenders?
A shoulder slid up and down in response as the ruddy eyes grew distant. Apparently, that's all the answer he was going to receive. Shaking his head, the banished heir decided to let the matter drop. The important thing was that they finally knew where to go. He could only hope that the marketplace would redeem this thus far useless stop. Shiori walked on eggshells all the way back to the harbor. She had spoken without permission and had acted without orders, all on a mission where she was supposed to be learning the true meaning of being Yuyan. Shame colored her cheeks. Why was Prince Zuko allowing this to slide? She decided that either he did not understand the magnitude of her violations, a distinct possibility given his general ignorance regarding the Yuyan, or that he was simply waiting to report her abysmal behavior to General Iroh. The idea that he was being magnanimous in light of their progress crossed her mind, but she counted that as a slim possibility. Shiori bit her lower lip in frustration. On Symmetra Island, one knew instantly when they were in trouble, no guesswork required. Waiting to find out seemed like a cruel fate. A brush of cool sea air kissed upon her hot cheeks, the refreshing scent a relief after the stifling stench of the town. The harbor, the shoreline as crooked as the people it sheltered, came into view. Orienting herself with the help of the sun, Shiori knew their little boat should be somewhere to the left of their current position, although she couldn't see it. Zuko turned right and she followed. The center of the town's docking area bustled with activity, the crew of a newly arrived ship disembarking for shore leave. As instructed, Shiori kept her ears open for Avatar-related news as they passed, but most of the snippets of conversation that she caught were bawdy enough to make her ears burn. Zuko, she noticed, also supported a blush, and their pace quickened. Heading inland a few streets as instructed brought them to the marketplace. An open-air affair that supported few of the wooden booths or permanent shops Shiori mentally associated with the word marketplace. Instead, vendors displayed their wares on large blankets or underneath tents. Pirates both haggled loudly and in secretive whispers, and some goods, rather than being displayed proudly, were covered up. The occasional harsh shriek of a reptile parrot periodically rang out, and here and there pygmy leopard monkeys pranced on their masters' shoulders. The faint but distinctive odor of fried foods permeated the air, taking Shiori instantly back to her childhood, when she and Keisuke would enjoy the local fire festival together. They began to slowly meander through the place, ears perked up for Avatar news as they went. Pirates really did know a lot about world events, Shiori realized, as Zuko loitered in front of a tent selling jewelry. The most common topics of conversation were which Earth Kingdom towns had fallen to the Fire Nation control, and where the Fire and Earth navies had stepped up their patrols. Here and there the word Avatar popped up. He had been sighted riding on a giant unagi on Kyoshi Island, and was rumored to be partnered with a mask-wearing thief. All of this was apparently old news, as Zuko, his face grim, pressed on. In front of a table selling spices, Shiori overheard a couple of pirates laughing about the rumor that the Avatar had purloined an expensive waterbending scroll from Captain Makai of the Sea Drake.
The Avatar steals?
Recovering from her surprise, Shiori then realized that Zuko was nowhere to be seen.
Now where'd he get off to? This could be important.
The vendor seemed to be conversing with a thin man wearing a dark green headband, just like her red one. The pirate gave an exaggerated shrug, hoop earrings glittering in the sunlight as he answered in a slightly nasal tone. The green-clad pirate grinned. They all laughed at that, ceasing only when the thin pirate pushed his long dark brown hair out of the way and reached into his short sleeve top. He whipped out a small sack, its contents of silver Fire Nation coins spilling across the table. The small group of seafaring thieves stood entranced as the man continued to talk. Shiori jerked. She had been so busy listening in that she forgot to keep a peruse of shopping at the neighboring vendor's textile tent. Holding up her hands with an apologetic smile, she backed away from the tent, only to discover herself under the scrutiny of gossiping pirates. He patted the waistline of his dark green pants, where the hilts of 2 short swords could be seen. Shiori gripped her bow and shook her head, earning loud laughter all around. Realizing they were teasing her, she blushed and ducked her head. Hurrying past them, she hoped her commander hadn't gotten too far away. She rounded a large tent, nervously glancing over her shoulder to ensure a lack of interest. Bumping into someone hard, Shiori suddenly found a hand placed over her mouth. Intense gold eyes meeting hers as Zuko held a shushing finger in front of his own mouth. Heart pounding in her chest, Shiori could only glare at the prince as he cautiously peered around the corner. Satisfied she wasn't being followed, he turned back to her.
Well, what did you learn?
The Avatar stole a waterbending scroll from the dark-haired pirate's ship. They're working for the Fire Nation now, spreading a rumor about something called a giant manta ray bat being on Misty Island. It has something to do with the Avatar, but I'm not sure what.
Good work.
Zuko took another quick peek around the corner before glancing back at Shiori.
I need to know more. But that pirate can't see me. Come on, we'll follow her. Try not to act too suspicious. Can you do that?
Shiori nodded mutely.
You should worry more about yourself. You don't blend in at all. And what does the prince know about skulking anyways?
Quite a bit was the surprising answer. He even purchased a few small trinkets as they shadowed the pirate, including a hooded cloak, which he used to partially hide his distinctive face in Fire Nation clothes. Apparently oblivious, the man they had trailed was easy to keep track of. Captain Makai seemed to be well known amongst the vendors, and this character, his first mate, obviously enjoyed the certain amount of notoriety himself. He handed bags of coins to a select few of his fellow seafaring traders and then headed back to the harbor. Zuko ceased imitating a casual shopper the moment the pirate left the marketplace. Silently cat-pawing after the man, Shiori trailing further behind found herself impressed with the speed and agility that Zuko displayed, as he darted from hiding spot to hiding spot. Dressed in black, he would have made a good thief, she mused. Unfortunately, he ran out of cover at a distance too great to overhear the conversation on the docks between the first mate and his captain. Shiori, whose visage and clothing attracted no adverse attention, didn't bother to hide until she closed in on her commander's position. At that point, Zuko's patience had already eroded to nil. He boldly strode out into the ocean, his newly purchased cloak billowing outwards as the sea breeze caught it. Clueless as to the prince's plan, Shiori went with him. An older man, Captain Makai favored Fire Nation colors as opposed to the Earth Kingdom theme sported by his first mate, although the blue pants and the wide-brimmed hat ensured he would never be mistaken as an actual citizen. The green reptile parrot perched on his shoulder squawked and ruffled his feathers as Zuko approached, hood thrown back. The pirates recognized him instantly.
Well, 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 if it isn't our favorite banished prince. You owe us a lot of money, boy. I think I'll take it out of your hide.
The captain emphasized his words with a hand on the hilt of a long sword.
Zuko's been banished?
Shiori's feet halted as the words sunk in. That couldn't be true, could it? She stared at him, willing him to look at her, to laugh and deny it, but he ignored her. Zuko also ignored the threat.
Who's paying you to spread rumors? What does it have to do with the Avatar? Tell me, and I might see fit to double your price.
And maybe you'll return my mother's necklace, too. Forget it, kid. You're too much trouble. Or maybe I should say, you're in too much trouble. You remember my crew, don't you? Because they sure remember you.
As the gray-haired pirate spoke, several pirates materialized. The first mate gave a jaunty grin. He had known all along that he was being followed. Zuko threw off his cloak and fell into a fighting stance.
Fine, be that way. In the end, you'll still give me the information I want. Right, Shiori? Shiori?
The prince turned his head just enough to see his borrowed archer running away as fast as she could. With a muffled curse, he turned to face the semicircle of encroaching pirates.
Final Exam was written by Magnusrae. Avatar The Last Airbender is owned by Nickelodeon, Michael Dante DiMartino, and Brian Konietzko. The narrator for this story is Samantha White. The voice of Zuko is DCODE. The voice of Shiori is Drew Hill. The voice of O, the first mate, is Genndy Oda C.O.G. The voice of Captain Makai is Jake Mate. Additional voices were provided by Genndy Oda C.O.G. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.